The Cyclist, by Erik Røde, 1755. Read by Lord Thomas L. Churchill. Continued. Chapter 4, Alex. Scene 16. Alex's story. As the evening unfolded and the shared meal came to an end, Carlo, ever the gracious host, saw an opportunity to deepen the connection between their unexpected guest, Alex, and his own family. He glanced at Alex with a warm smile, a twinkle in his eyes. "Alex," Carlo began, his voice rich with sincerity, "we've shared stories of our own journeys, of how life has led us to this moment. But I believe every traveler has a unique tale to tell, and I sense that you have a story waiting to be shared. Would you honor us with the story of how you came to this point in your life, where you're on the path to compete in the European Cycling Championships?" Carlo's invitation hung in the air, and his eyes conveyed genuine curiosity, a thirst for the narratives that shaped the lives of those around him. Alex, feeling the warmth of their newfound connection, nodded in agreement. With a smile, he began to recount the transformative chapter of his life that had brought him to this very moment. "Well," Alex began, his voice carrying the weight of the memories he was about to share, "it all started back in New York City when I was just a kid." As Alex delved into the story of his journey to the European Cycling Championships, Carlo and Ponti listened with rapt attention. They leaned in, their eyes focused on him, and the crackling kitchen fire cast dancing shadows across the room. Alex's gestures were animated, reflecting the excitement of his youthful adventures. "Picture this," he continued, "the bustling streets of New York City, the towering skyscrapers, and the subway system that's like a maze beneath it all." He traced an imaginary cityscape with his hands as he spoke. In the bustling heart of New York City, the story of Alex's journey to the European Cycling Championships began with a thrilling routine he had perfected over the years, a heart-pounding race with the subway. Every Sunday morning, around the age of 12 to 13, Alex explained, his eyes lighting up with nostalgia, "I would deliver newspapers on my trusty bicycle. And you know what came next, right?" He grinned as if sharing a secret. Carlo and Ponti exchanged glances, their curiosity piqued. It was as if they were transported to the streets of New York alongside Alex, feeling the adrenaline of his races. "I would find myself at a particular stretch of subway track," Alex continued, his words painting vivid scenes in their minds. His voice, with a descriptive tone, added, "The route spanned a 3-mile stretch of elevated track above an almost deserted road. The early hours ensured minimal traffic below, and all traffic lights seemed perfectly synchronized, as if nature itself conspired to create the optimal conditions for this ritual race." Scene 17. The accident. With a deep sense of excitement coursing through his veins, Alex would time his race to perfection. He'd synchronize his pace with the subway's movement, sprinting alongside it as it roared above the city streets. The wind would whip through his hair, and the city's towering skyscrapers would become a blur in the background. Carlo and Ponti were captivated by Alex's story, feeling the exhilaration of those early morning races. The crackling fire seemed to flicker in time with the beat of their hearts. "But one fateful Sunday," Alex continued, his tone turning more somber, "as I pedaled faster than ever, my heart racing not just from the thrill but because it was my birthday, something unexpected happened. In a twist of fate, as he approached an intersection, he encountered a sudden and unexpected obstacle. A car was stalled right in the middle of the crossroads," Alex recounted, his voice carrying the weight of that moment. Carlo and Ponti leaned in closer, their expressions filled with concern and empathy as they relived the accident with Alex. "I attempted to swerve and avoid the collision," Alex explained, his hands mimicking the movements, "but there simply wasn't enough time or space to maneuver. His bicycle skidded sideways, and he slammed into the side of the car with a sickening thud. The impact sent him hurtling over the vehicle, and he landed on a patch of soft, green grass at the side of the intersection. The driver of the car, who had been traveling with his teenage son, had only spotted Alex at the very last moment. In the pre-dawn hush, they both leaped out of the car and rushed to Alex's side. Without hesitation, They lifted the young cyclist gently, placing him inside their vehicle, and sped to the nearest hospital. They knew that time was of the essence. Carlo's eyes widened, and he leaned forward in his chair, his empathy for young Alex palpable. Ponte's hand gently rested on Alex's shoulder as if to offer silent support. "My parents were contacted," Alex continued, his voice steady but filled with the gravity of the situation. "And the driver of the car, who introduced himself as Coach Hendel, and his teenage son Robert, never left my side during those harrowing days. Coach Hendel's young daughter, Alicia, who was young in years, also accompanied them daily. While her father and Alex's parents were busy with medical consultations and prayers, Alicia would quietly enter Alex's room. Carlo and Ponte exchanged glances, touched by the kindness of the young girl. Despite her father's admonitions to stay out, Alicia found a way to slip inside. In her silent visits, she would run her tiny hands gently over Alex's legs, as if offering her own form of healing touch. Although she wouldn't speak, her eyes radiated warmth and comfort. Throughout those challenging 5 days, the hospital was filled with people praying for Alex's recovery. Strangers, united by a shared hope, had come together in a remarkable show of support. Scene 18, the 5th day. On the morning of the 5th day, Alex recounted, his voice filled with gratitude, a miracle unfolded. I began to stir. The doctors, who had been baffled by my rapid recovery, watched in awe as I regained consciousness. Carlo and Ponte shared glances once more, their appreciation for the kindness of strangers evident. They were engrossed in the tale, hanging on to every word as Alex continued. The joy that flooded Coach Hendel, my parents, and little Alicia was immeasurable, Alex continued, his voice reflecting the wonder of that moment. It was a proof to the power of collective prayers and the resilience of the human spirit. Carlo, who had been listening intently, nodded in agreement. Ponte's eyes shimmered with emotion. Coach Hendel, who was an American cycling club coach, Alex continued, and his son were part of a renowned cycling team that competed internationally. They raced in the USA, Canada, and Europe, representing their country with honor. The coach's son, Robert, was a top cyclist on the team. In the years that followed, as Alex recovered and improved his cycling skills, he became an integral part of the team. His dedication and talent were undeniable, and he earned his place as a valued member. The coach's son, Robert, eventually left to pursue a career in medical school, Alex explained, which opened the door for me to assume the number 1 spot on the cycling team. Carlo and Ponte nodded in understanding, realizing the significance of this turning point in Alex's life. Unbeknownst to me at the time, Alex continued, his voice softening with emotion, the little girl named Alicia, who had visited me daily in the hospital, would become an essential part of my life's journey. She was Coach Hendel's daughter, he explained, his eyes meeting Ponte's briefly, and our paths would continue to intertwine. Eventually, Alicia and I would discover a deeper connection that would lead us to a beautiful future together. As Alex shared this transformative chapter of his life with Carlo and Ponte, their faces mirrored the amazement and warmth of his story. The room seemed to radiate with the power of second chances, unexpected connections, and the resilience of the human spirit. Carlo and Ponte's eyes shone with admiration, and their hearts swelled with the resilience and determination in Alex's story. It was a tale of second chances, of unexpected connections, and of the transformative power of kindness. As Alex concluded his narrative, there was a brief moment of silence, filled with the weight of the shared experience. Then, Carlo raised his glass once more, and this time, his voice held a deep resonance. To second chances and the roads that lead us to unexpected destinations, he toasted. Alex, his voice filled with emotion, joined in. To kindness and the strangers who become family. The clinking of glasses echoed through the cottage, a demonstration to the bonds forged on that unforgettable evening. Scene 19. A sweet farewell. As the night wore on and the sky transformed into a canvas painted with a tapestry of stars, fatigue settled upon Alex's shoulders like a heavy cloak. Hours of laughter, storytelling, and delicious food had filled the cozy cottage with warmth and mirth. The evening, though infused with an undeniable sense of camaraderie, had also been physically demanding for Alex. His muscles, accustomed to the rigors of cycling, now yearned for reprieve. Carlo, noticing Alex's exhaustion, said, "You seem weary, Alex." Carlo's eyes, reflecting the soft lamplight, discerned the signs of fatigue etched across Alex's face. His concern for the young cyclist's well-being was palpable, a testament to the bond that had rapidly developed between them. Alex, rubbing his tired shoulders, said, "I must say, that was quite a feast." Carlo, noticing Alex's exhaustion, replied, "You look like you've had quite a day, Alex." Ponte, with concern, added, "Perhaps it's best if you don't cycle back in the dark. It can be treacherous." Carlo, with a warm smile, reaffirmed, "You're staying the night, Alex." No arguments. Carlo, with genuine care, added, "It's not safe for you to venture back in the darkness. You must stay the night." Carlo's offer came from the depths of his heart, an act of kindness that seemed inherent to his very being. Alex, grateful, said, "I'm truly touched by your generosity." Alex, with a sincere feeling, added, "I appreciate it." "Thank you." Alex knew that this was more than just a place to lay his tired body. It was a sanctuary of friendship and compassion. Carlo, with kindness, added, "I'll find some clothes for you to change into for sleeping. My son Angelo's clothes should do." As Alex settled into the cozy guest room in Angelo's borrowed clothes, his heart swelled with gratitude for the unexpected turn of events that had brought him here, to this humble cottage in the heart of the Italian countryside. Alex accepted the invitation with heartfelt appreciation, recognizing that this was more than just shelter for the night. It was a sanctuary of friendship and compassion. As Alex settled into the comfortable guest room, his heart swelled with gratitude for the unforeseen twist of fate that had led him to this quaint cottage in the heart of the Italian countryside. The night enveloped the world in a symphony of crickets and the gentle rustling of leaves, lulling Alex into a deep, restful slumber. Beneath the same starlit sky that had witnessed their laughter and shared stories, Carlo and Ponte retreated to their respective quarters, their hearts warmed by the presence of their American friend. In this tranquil moment, as the world outside embraced dreams, the cottage stood as a beacon, a symbol of the enduring bond woven among its inhabitants. It marked a tender farewell to a night that had drawn the threads of their lives even closer together, a night that whispered of new adventures on the horizon. Scene 20. A morning goodbye. As the first light of dawn tiptoed through the curtains, gently caressing the room with its golden fingers, Alex stirred from a deep and restful sleep. The scent of freshly brewed espresso wafted through the air, mingling with the sweet aroma of pastries that filled the room. The soft clinking of plates and hushed voices hummed in the background, welcoming Alex to the new day. Ponte, warm and welcoming, said, "Buongiorno, Alex." Dressed and filled with both contentment and anticipation, Alex made his way to the kitchen. The events of the previous evening had left an indelible mark on his heart, and he knew that this morning held the bittersweet promise of parting. Ponte moved gracefully about the kitchen, her actions an indication to the countless meals she had prepared with love and care. The table, adorned with an array of pastries, showcased the culinary artistry that Carlo and Ponte practiced daily. Carlo, jovial, said, "You can't start the day without a good espresso, Alex." Carlo, true to his cheerful nature, poured steaming cups of espresso, filling the room with its rich aroma. Their hospitality was unwavering, and the desire to make Alex's last meal with them memorable was evident in every detail. They gathered around the rustic wooden table, bathed in the morning sun streaming through the open windows. The pastries offered a delightful medley of flavors and textures, each bite a monument to the skill and love that went into crafting them. Conversation flowed effortlessly, a blend of words and gestures, laughter and shared glances. There was an unspoken understanding that this breakfast was more than just a meal. It was a moment frozen in time, a memory to be cherished long after Alex had departed. Alex, with gratitude, responded, "I'll carry these moments with me." As the last crumbs were cleared away and the final sips of espresso savored, the time for farewell approached. The morning held both the sweetness of shared moments and the bitterness of impending separation. With hugs and heartfelt expressions of gratitude, Alex bid Carlo and Ponti farewell. The open road beckoned, promising new horizons and fresh adventures, but the warmth of the cottage and the bonds of friendship would remain in his heart. Scene 21. A future reunion. The promise of a future reunion hung in the air like a sweet melody as Alex prepared to depart from Carlo and Ponti's cottage. Carlo, his eyes brimming with genuine warmth and affection, stood for a moment, pondering deeply. The weight of his decision and the desire to invite Alex back next week weighed heavily on his mind. Carlo's gaze shifted from Alex to the picturesque landscape around them, a place that had witnessed the blossoming of an extraordinary friendship. He took a deep breath, his heart swelling with the emotions that had grown in such a short span of time. Carlo, thoughtful, from the heart, said, "Alex." He paused, searching for the right words, wanting this invitation to be genuine and heartfelt. He knew that next week would be significant, a chance to rekindle the magic they had shared in this tranquil haven. Carlo, with conviction, added, "I know you have your races and training, but Ponti and we would be honored if you could find your way back to us." Alex, who had been shouldering his backpack and preparing his bike, turned to Carlo. His eyes, filled with curiosity and hope, met Carlo's gaze. Alex, intrigued, with a spark of anticipation, replied, "Carlo?" Carlo smiled warmly, feeling a surge of connection and camaraderie with this young American cyclist. Carlo, with sincerity and emotion, said, "Next week, on Thursday, we will be here, waiting." Alex's face lit up with a mixture of surprise and joy. The dramatic tension that had been building was released in this heartfelt invitation. It was as if a door to a new world had opened before him, one filled with friendship, warmth, and the promise of more unforgettable moments. Alex, grateful, his voice filled with emotion, confirmed, "Carlo, that would mean the world to me." The bond between them had deepened, and the prospect of returning the following week filled Alex with a sense of joyful anticipation. He knew that this was not just an invitation. It was an evidence to the genuine connection they had formed in this idyllic corner of the Italian countryside. As he pedaled away, the cottage grew smaller in the distance, but the warmth of this moment and the promise of their future reunion remained etched in their hearts. The Cyclist, by Erik Røde, 1755. Read by Lord Thomas L. Churchill.